I postulated a substance called soma, which was a very versatile drug. It would make people feel happy in small doses. It would make them see visions in medium doses, and it would send them to sleep in large doses. Well, I don't think such a drug exists now, nor do I think it will ever exist, but we do have drugs which will do some of these things without doing us any harm. I mean, this is the pharmacological revolution which has taken place, that we have now powerful mind-changing drugs which, physiologically speaking, are almost costless.
This is Aldous Huxley, a British writer who published the dystopian novel Brave New World in 1932. The story follows Bernard Marx, a citizen of the dictatorship of the world state, while he discovers an alternative reality in which people live freely. The citizens of the world state consume a drug called soma, a pill that puts them in a mood of groundless happiness. The world state encourages its consumption as it prevents them from acknowledging their condition. Soma is indeed the necessary technological tool to promote the hegemony of the state, the ruling class promoting an unquestionable scale of values to which the citizens must obey. Soma's only side effect is the reduction of life prospects, but the citizens consider it a fair exchange for their happiness. In 1961, Huxley said in an interview that the future would have provided a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude and producing dictatorship without tears. Have we already swallowed our soma pill? This man is Albert Marcuse, philosopher and sociologist of the Frankfurt School, a current of social theory which applied Marxist theory and psychoanalysis to contemporary society. The members of the Frankfurt School underlined the risks of the increasing consumption of media technologies after the Second World War. In 1964, Marcuse published his masterpiece One-Dimensional Man, which became a reference for the students' movement during the 60s. In One-Dimensional Man, Marcuse describes a blind faith in technology that seems to be able to satisfy all human needs.
Ich habe erwähnt, die Veränderungen, die im Hochkapitalismus vor sich gegangen sind. Der Kapitalismus hat Lebensbedingungen geschaffen, die bei aller Ausbeutung und Enthumanisierung immerhin ein Lebensniveau für die Majorität der Bevölkerung erzielt hat, wie es Marx im 19. Jahrhundert sich noch nicht einmal vorstellen konnte.
To Marcuse, 60s individuals lived only in the dimension of technological rationality, losing the personal dimension of the mind. Individuals became only consumers, a number within a vast mob. With the rise of Web 2.0, individuals don't feel part of the mob anymore. Everyone has a customized online experience when consuming technology. However, have we gained the dimension of the mind back? In what dimension do we live in? Probably you feel the urge to Google the answer. That's the point. Our lives are indeed Google-mediated. We live for Google, through Google, and in a Google culture. We are one-dimensional Googlers. The tech company Google was founded in 1998 by Stanford students Sergey Brin and Larry Page in Mountain View, California. The number of employees increased drastically from 2007, and for 3 consecutive years, the business magazine Fortune elected Google as the best company to work for. Google's employees, the so-called Googlers, enjoy many benefits, and their offices offer every comfort you could think of. However, the 20% rule is the real innovation. Brin and Page said, quote, "We encourage our employees, in addition to their regular projects, to spend 20% of their time working on what they think will most benefit Google. This empowers them to be more creative and innovative. Many of our significant advances have happened in this manner. Angela, for example, worked at a human resource office until she discovered her passion for coding and became a software engineer. It pretty looks like heaven, but there is a dark side."
It feels kind of like a playground, a big playground.
We look at it as a long-term investment in our people. We want to be able to train them and hang on to them.
The week has been unstoppable, restless, a bunch of activities.
Christian Fuchs is a media scholar and professor at the University of Westminster. He argues that the 20% rule is indeed an excuse that keeps Googlers inside their offices, which is beneficial to the employers. Amusing facilities serve exactly this function. Fuchs argues a Googler is exploited as a playboy, as he or she flexibly switches between different activities so that the distinction between leisure and work, play and labor collapses. They live what Marcuse calls a totalitarian freedom, as they are encouraged to nurture their relationship with Google, neglecting the human relationship they have outside the office and even with themselves. As former Googler Clement Mihailescu observes, many Googlers give up their dream of founding a startup because their living standards would worsen. Free sushi and beach volley fields have become their soma, their pill for a happiness that disguises the dark sides of their condition. They are free within a set of predetermined options chosen by their employers. They only live in the Google dimension. Does Google culture apply to users? And if so, how? Google provides an online free service, increasing its revenues from the data the users provide while using its platforms. Google says this mechanism improves users' online experience. However, Google does not use data simply to auction advertisement spaces. This woman is Harvard scholar Shoshana Zuboff. She argues Google profits the most from its ability to predict the future. Users think they are in control of the type of information they give to Google. Instead, Zuboff argues, quote, "The information we give them is the least important information."
Google claimed our private experience as free raw material to be translated into behavioral data.
Google is interested in the behavioral surplus, little pieces of information also called data exhaust, which can predict the future behavior. It happened when Niantic, a Google company, launched Pokemon Go in 2016. The game had tremendous success. It encouraged players to follow a map on their phones to get Pokemons around the city. The business model of the game pivoted around footfalls, the prices businesses such as McDonald's paid to Niantic to have customers in their stores.
They definitely have a lot of Pokemon at McDonald's, so we're gonna head to our next location, which is Target.
Users are saturated with convenience so that they do not notice their commodification, according to Zuboff. It's clear that users' data produce an enormous economic profit for Google from which they don't benefit. Playing video games, watching a YouTube video, or working on Google Documents serves the same aim: increase Google's wealth. In the end, users become unconscious full-time Googlers, and there's no distinction between leisure and work for them too. They are playboys as Googlers are. Google's free online services are their soma pill, which allows them to value entertainment more than the privacy of their experiences. Google doesn't only predict future behaviors. With Pokemon Go, it also triggers them. Depending on the company that buys the information of the behavioral surplus, data could shape many behaviors, not just a consumerist one.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Many employees and users don't acknowledge the dark side of the soma they consume. We are blinded by the promise Google does to serve us in all our needs. And given the increased living standards, it seems that Google fulfills this promise. Marcuse says this technological well-being, quote, produced a pattern of mind and behavior which justified and absolved even the most destructive and oppressive features of the enterprise. Probably the solution lies in another pill, Matrix Red Pill, a substance that requires a lot of bravery to be taken as it unveils an unpleasant truth. And knowing the truth brings consequences. However, even if it's painful, isn't that the truth?